Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you all for giving this video a click. My name's Tyler, watching a game of Arena today between Eddie and Fire. So Fire here in the blue playing as Goths, Eddie in red playing as Mayans. I don't usually watch a lot of Arena, but I thought this match was particularly interesting, so let's check it out. So first thing to look at here are the maps. We can see that Eddie has two stone piles within his walls. His boars are both within his walls, we can see that. He's got his berries. His primary gold here is on the edge, which is not ideal. He might get pressure here from monks or archers or a castle drop. And his secondary gold is outside the walls, and his deer patch is outside the walls. So all in all, not the greatest map for Eddie in this one. If we look at Fire, on the other hand, here in blue, again playing as Goths, we can see that he has a much better map. So Fire's got both of his boars within his walls. He's got his two stone piles, two gold piles, his berries, and even a third gold pile here for good luck. In addition, he's got a deer patch within his walls, which he's going to take on pretty early to get a little bit of a food boost. So Fire here really having a perfect arena map, in my opinion. Most of his resources can't be pressured by a castle drop on the outside of his wall, and he's got tons of resources within his walls. So a really great map for Fire. As we fast forward a bit, we can see these two players doing the usual luring of the boars. Nothing too spectacular there. One thing we will see if we fast forward for just a minute here is that Eddie's going to do a lot of scouting, not only of his map, but of the rest of the map. He's going to get an idea of where the relics are and what's going on. But meanwhile, Fire will be just scouting his area. And the reason he's going to do that is because he's going to do this really incredible deer push. If you see his deer patch here, he's pushing the deer all the way down through this little tiny gap here in this tree line, all the way to his town center. And I thought that was a really impressive move on his part. I think he does it flawlessly for all four deer. So pretty impressive on his part there. But he is going to lose a lot of scouting since his scout is busy pushing deer. Meanwhile, we can see that Fire is up to feudal. Obviously not with Loom, because we're playing on Arena. He's on 28, and if we look at Eddie, he's going to be on 27, a little bit earlier up to feudal, also without Loom. And if we look at Eddie's scouting, we can see that he's found all of the relics. And by the way, those relics are pretty fairly distributed. So these two being closer to Eddie, these two being closer to Fire, and this one here sort of in no man's land. So not a terribly unfair map as far as relics go. We see Eddie coming up first. He's going to put down a market and a blacksmith. Very standard fast castle build for him. He's nearly got the food and the gold to make it happen. He'll pop a few villagers out in the meantime, and we'll see him up to castle in just a moment. Meanwhile, Fire is also up to feudal. He's going to do the same thing. Two villagers building the market, one building the blacksmith. Fire's he's got enough food already, but he does not have enough gold yet. I think we'll see him potentially sell some stone to get there. Looks like he probably did sell some stone. I don't see him mining any gold. So a pretty normal fast castle for both guys. We can see just now that Fire's starting to put some farms up. Eddie's been farming a little bit longer because he didn't have that extra deer patch. We'll just look at how these villagers are distributed here. So 5 on stone for Eddie, 4 on berries as normal, 4 on gold. If we look over at Fire, he's got many more villagers on stone here. That looks like 6 to me, 7 to me. No one on gold yet, but I'm sure he'll transition those villagers once he hits the castle age. We can see that Eddie's up first. He has 650 stone to build a castle. He's sending villagers forward here, and they're going to put down a monastery. So 4 villagers forward for Eddie. He's obviously going to push the pressure here. This second building is what's important. It's also a monastery, so we might see a bit of a monk rush here of some sort. Eddie's going to send out some monks and probably try to collect these relics. It's important to remember... Oh, here's the castle coming up on the front. Important to remember, those relics, each relic is equivalent to an Imperial Age miner, so a fully upgraded miner with wheelbarrow and handcart, will mine 1 gold every 2 seconds, and a relic gives you 1 gold every 2 seconds as well. So if Edie can get out here early and grab all 5 of these relics, he's going to have a major advantage in gold by the end of this game. He's also going to have this forward castle to help keep the pressure on, and we'll see what he can do here in the early castle age. So lots of pressure here from Edie. And we can see Fire now just getting around the map with his scout, finding these extra gold piles, finding the relics, which he's going to have an awful hard time to get, since Eddie's already got monks out on the map. Edie does something smart here. He sends his monks in teams of 2, the buddy system, and that's going to allow him to fend off Fire's scout even while he's holding a relic. And you can see he's already grabbed 2 of the relics, and he's going to continue, I suppose. Here comes the 3rd right now. If we look at that pressure on the front, we can see that Edie is just there with his castle, using the arrow fire to take down the walls. He's going to come in with his Eagle Warrior and get a view around Fire's base. But all in all, Edie not producing any military units yet, just monks at this time. Fire, on the other hand, is booming up. He's got 1, 2, 3 TCs going now. He's mining a lot of gold. He's working hard, just killing Eddie's scout there. But no military from Fire yet either. We can see Eddie's clicked up to Imperial already. We can look at Fire's resources, and we can see he's not going to be up to Imperial anytime soon. He is going to put a barracks down, and as Goths we might see men-at-arms here, which would actually do a pretty good job at the moment, since he's just up against a couple of plumed archers. But these will be massed up pretty soon, I would assume. We can see those 2 monks here coming again. Maybe they're going to put some pressure on over the walls here. They might get a convert on this scout if they're lucky. Do they see him? They do. It looks like Fire will delete that scout before it can be converted. We look over at Fire. We can still see he's still not up to Imperial, but he does have a full boom going with 3 town centers. Meanwhile, Edie, just with the 1 town center, he does have all the relics. That's going to give him a bit of an advantage in the end game. But I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's not booming resources here. He is getting some plumes, so maybe he'll get in here and do some harassment, along with maybe pushing in a couple of monks to get some pressure on these villagers. But we can see that Fire here is up to Huskarl, and he's building them out of the barracks because he's upgraded to Anarchy. A really good investment for him, because he can just rely on that 1 castle for now and build all the Huskarls he wants. And once these are massed up, they're incredibly hard to take down if you are a Mayans player. I mean, 6+1 defense versus arrows is really powerful. And right now it looks like all Edie has to fight this off with is a bunch of archers and a couple of monks. So we'll have to see what Edie can do if he can figure this out in time. Meanwhile, you can see Edie converting some villagers, doing some monk harassment, just 1 villager at a time. Not sure how this monk got in. He must have come in through this hole in the wall. A couple of trebs up for Edie, and they've now taken down the castle of Fire. So Fire getting pushed in on here, but having gotten Anarchy, he's building all the Huskarls he wants out of those 4 barracks. He's also got very well protected gold, and another gold pile over here, another TC over here. Really no pressure on his villagers yet. The problem is that these plumed archers are going to start coming in, and they're going to start putting pressure on this TC. Eddie's going to now see those Huskarls, and he's going to try to react in time. Putting up the 7 and the 11, he knows that he's in a little bit of trouble, a lot of trouble. This is a lot of Huskarls, and he doesn't have anything to take them down just yet. A couple of rams as well for Fire, and they're going to see if they can push this castle. We can see that these monks are trying to convert those Huskarls, and the plumes are shooting and running, but this looks like an awfully large group of Huskarls here to take on with just a couple of monks and a couple of archers. And it looks like both of those trebuchets will eventually go down. That castle is not in good shape. He probably doesn't have murder holes. Even if he does, there's going to be 4 rams knocking on the door of that castle in just a moment. Those Huskarls are now pushing back toward the relics that Edie worked so hard to get. And there's the good game from Edie. So a very nice little arena game where Edie came out with some pressure and pushed forward on Fire. Fire didn't blink. He just let him push his way in just a little. Meanwhile, he went up to Huskarls. He got Anarchy, and he built up a big enough army to really push Edie back very quickly. And Edie calling a pretty quick, good game there. But, honestly, these Rams and these Huskarls, Edie just has nothing to deal with those, and he's on 1 TC. So, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed watching a game of Arena for a change. My name's Tyler. Please leave me a comment, and thanks again.